Venture forth as dad. I absolutely forgot.
We are brave dad.
Brave dad. It's better than I'm scared dad, I suppose.
It's true. Okay, so since the last time we've played this,
time has passed.
Time has passed, indeed. I have beaten all of Dragon Quest 1.
What?
Off camera because it's one of those classic Nintendo games where they're like, hey, you know what? We're going to make things really obscure to try and, pad out the game time, right?
Mm-hmm. A seed of magic.
A seed of magic
and
I don't
agility.
want to throw... no! Everything is terrible. Okay.
That's usually how it goes. Anyway,
So, yes, I played through the game, so I have an idea of what needs to be done. Of course, it's been just long enough that I still might get confused. But the main thing is that I'm not going to spend hours and hours and hours just wandering around like a complete fool.
like we're doing right now.
Like we are doing right now. I completely forget the layout of this castle.
I don't want to look like a fool, so I played through the game and totally forgot everything I was supposed to do.
And I've been playing some Dragon Quest 2 to get ahead of things a little bit. So I kind of have like that map in my brain. Okay.
Are magic keys like individual like items? Like you use one and then it's gone?
Correct, yeah.
Because I'm playing through Final Fantasy 1 currently, and you just get the magic key and it just opens up all the locked doors.
Yeah, so that's how it is in like Dragon Quest 2. You just get one key, and this they're consumables.
It's a consumable item.
Okay, so what we need to do.
For those curious, you're the little toenail on the screen.
Yes, you're the little toenail on the screen.
Was that supposed to be your sword, I guess?
I guess, I don't know. In Dragon Quest 2, it's so much better because it's like a giant feather that's like pointing to where you
maybe
are.
That's a little feather.
Maybe it's supposed to be a little feather.
Maybe it's supposed to be a tiny feather. I will believe that.
And like the Dragon Quest 2 map is like, I think it's a little bit smaller, but you have more real estate because in Dragon Quest 2 you actually get a boat. In Dragon Quest 1, remember we had talked about this?
Yes, yep.
And you were like, oh, it's going to be one of those like old games where you get a boat and you just walk into the water and you become the little boat. You're partly right, because that does happen in Dragon Quest 2, not in Dragon Quest 1.
How dare I forget a game
but
I've never played.
I have exciting news, everyone. Yes, very, very exciting news.
Big exciting.
Very fantastic. Big excite. We are gonna have to do a little bit of grinding.
Oh, as in right now?
As in right now.
Oh boy, that's a lot of it's a lot of poison you're stepping in.
It is a lot of poison I'm stepping in, but I have these medicinal herbs. I actually don't know.
Grinding, you say?
47 is my current max health. Okay. Yes, we will be doing some grinding. So I've figured out that the entire game can be completed around level 20.
Oh, so we're like halfway there.
But we want to be at approximately level like 12 to 15
to get to the next part
before we can really take, what I would consider to be the first step.
Fair enough.
So
we'll do some grinding. Another
we
thing
need to
we're
come
going to
down
need
south and do some grinding right outside of this little town.
We'll need some feedback on is we're trying a new microphone system out now.
Yes, we so in the past we had one Blue Yeti sitting between us on the omnidirectional setting, but now we each have our own microphone on its own stand. I'm hoping that it drastically improves audio fidelity and quality and overall sound.
Me as well.
But if people tend to like the other way better,
do let us
know. Because then I'll feel like an idiot and I'd have spent $120 on another microphone for nothing.
It's just like, no, it'll be my birthday present.
Yeah, there you go. It'll be your birthday present.
I'm nodding in approval.
Nodding in approval. This was all an elaborate scheme for you to get your own Blue Yeti for personal use.
When we finally not decide to, but when we have time to actually like record podcasts, it'd be better for us to both have a microphone like this.
Yeah, no, we're gonna need them anyway.
It'll all work out in the end. So you're killing some squirps.
I'm killing some skirps and skellies, and as of right now, as far as I can tell, this is going to be the safest place for us to try and grind a couple of levels.
Because there's an inn literally 2 steps away.
Yeah.
I assume is an inn. I like your little, I think I said this last time, but your little tanuki tail.
Yeah.
Ponytail. Just shaking in the wind.
I don't think it's supposed to be like a ponytail or anything. I think it's literally just like a mane, so to speak.
I think that's what we talked about last time. it does a little shake.
Is that why I feel like we've had this conversation already?
That's how. So we're grinding, therefore we have to have Janky Junk grind discussions.
Janky.
All right.
Janku.
Deep philosophical question time. You ready for this?
Oh no.
Yep. If you were to have any superpower, what would you have? And why?
If I were to have any superpower and why? So it's really, really specific. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people will answer this question kind of generically, like, oh, I wish I could have, be able to fly. I wish I could have, like, super speed. No, not me. I wish I had the ability to warp reality or influence reality through the editing of billboards and signage.
Okay, that's going to need some explanation. Oh,
so,
you're up to level 10.
I'm level 10. Woo. We only need, like, maybe 2-3 more levels before we can get to where we need to go. It's not as impressive as it sounds. Oh. So all Fizzle does is it has a chance of preventing the enemy from casting spells, which
it has the ul that I want from Sizz.
Like super handy most of the time. Where is the inn in this town?
Probably
right
the one
here.
with the beds.
Probably.
This building has a shocking lack of beds, to be fair.
Yeah, and one of them is occupied already by a sleeping wizard. Anyway,
the ability to change reality due to billboards?
Yes. So, how
does that work? Because that I have no idea how I can even begin to.
So the sign already has to exist, so okay. I can't materialize the signs out of nothing.
This is getting like creepypasta level, but okay.
But, well, I'll explain it in a minute.
All right, fair enough.
Because let's just say this doesn't come from off the top of the head.
Okay. Deep thought.
I've thought about this for a long time. So the kind of origins of this idea, right? Mm-hmm. So my friend was writing a creative writing project as part of a English class in high school.
Yeah.
And he wanted to write a superhero story. But he didn't want anybody to have super generic powers.
Okay.
So he sat down with a few of his friends, like me included, mm-hmm. who he was basing his characters off of, and he was like, we need to come up with superpowers for everybody, but I don't want them to be like super generic, like, oh, I have super speed, I have super strength, the regular stuff.
The normal.
He was like, we need to come up with really interesting out-of-the-box ideas.
Okay.
So I said, I want to be able to rewrite billboards to whatever I want them to be. That was just what the superpower originally was.
Okay.
And he really, really liked the idea of the superpower fundamentally.
I feel like that's innately like a villain trait, but go on. The sale on Victoria's Secret is actually 10% off instead of 100% off, and now I'll get to it. You. Anyway, continue.
Because originally the power didn't have the ability to influence reality, right?
Yeah.
So it'd just be like if I was doing that, I'd be like, yeah, but the sign says, it's not 15% off, it's 20% off. And, the store clerk would just be like, yeah, no, it's 15% off.
The sign's wrong, I guess.
But as he developed the story, he actually decided that would be far more interesting if the power evolved to be able to influence reality.
Okay.
And ultimately, I'm actually the person who ended up beating the big bad by locking him in an infinite loop.
Okay.
So essentially, I just created a giant maze that he could never escape from, kind of like that one, like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure episode.
The alleyway from part 3 or part 4,
where there's like an alleyway that you can't escape from.
But you just but yes, I got you. And if you don't go about it the right way, you'll be in there forever. And if you look behind you, you get absorbed by ghosts. But that's spoilers for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Yeah, no spoilerinos for a show that's been out for how long?
That season came out a while ago. And the manga even longer. Anyway.
So that is the origin story of my superpower, why I've put so much thought into this, and why I like the power so much.
Fair, I mean,
because it's so fascinating. It's like I can go anywhere and make anything I want to be fact.
I appreciate how arbitrary it is to like, no, it's 20% off instead of 15% off, and you just kind of like raise your eyebrows a bit, and the guy's like, oh, I guess it is.
There's one scene in the story where, like, for whatever reason, we were hanging out at like a burlesque.
Okay.
Which is kind of like a pseudo strip club for anybody who doesn't know. But for like some reason, my like mom walked in, and we didn't want her seeing us where we were. Mm-hmm. So I changed the sign to be like a Chili's or some shit like that. And it just was. Because
suddenly all the strippers started bringing out sizzly plates and
quite literally
things. That's the only thing I know Chili's does, is that they have those sizzly plates.
Yeah, they're not the only place with sizzly plates, but
they're not, but I'm pretty sure they call it the sizzly place.
If you're gonna have a thing, at least make it sizzly plates.
Hey, look at this, our food is hot. We serve our food hot.
We serve our food extra hot.
And then they wink at you. The more hot it is, the longer it takes to cool down.
They even make the ding sound effect with their mouth. Ding! As they wink at you.
And they light a flashlight real quick, so they think you think it was like a little flash from their eye, like anime style.
Yeah.
It's stupid. Anyway, so for me, I'm much more, as you would say, boring, I guess, because it's just a normal superpower. I would absolutely love to have the superpower to teleport.
Superpower to teleport.
It is, in my opinion, the most convenient superpower out there.
Yeah, but superpowers I don't think are necessarily a matter of convenience. I was going to go rest at the inn, but I'm like, I still have plenty of health.
We don't want to waste your 24, whatever the currency is. Is it just gold?
Yeah.
It's not Zenny or...
No, it's literally just gold.
Just gold. Yep. Gold coins.
I earn so much more gold than what it takes to rest every few fights, but...
So teleportation, I've always thought was super cool. It can lead to like cool, like fights just in general, because I like the kind of like you put your enemy at unease because they don't know where you're coming from.
Yeah.
And so the hero I made for, there's a version of D&D called Mutants and Masterminds, which is like the superhero D&D.
Yeah.
And we all came up with superheroes, and I didn't want to have like something more generic, like a Paragon type, like Superman or anything like that. Because I do like super strength. Like I like strong things and tanky things, and like video games and most things. I like playing tanks and all that. And I didn't want to do that for D&D because I've played a million paladins or a million fighters or a million barbarians before. So I was like, let me do something more interesting. So I decided to like take more of a support role, and I made a character, and his superhero name was Blink, and he was his power was teleportation. And because I didn't put too much more into anything else, he was just kind of really good at teleporting.
Mm-hmm.
Because I kind of like the X-Men style of like superheroes where they don't have like 17 superpowers. They have like one superpower.
I can shoot laser beams out of my face, and that's my superpower.
Yep, I grow claws, but now they're metal because science. So he's just had teleportation, and then he had a little bit of combat experience, but like other than that, he was just kind of like a Spider-Man, just a normal kid.
Yeah.
And so his biggest thing he would do is he was pretty stealthy, and what he would do is he hung out, waited for like hostage situations or like bad like that, and slowly get people out by teleporting in when no one was looking, grabbing the person, teleporting that person out to safety.
Now, is it like Nightcrawler teleportation where he has to at least be aware of where he's teleporting into?
So no, though, because I was able to, because in the game you have a lot of points. Well, I guess I suppose. But he essentially just had to like think that I'm inside that building. He didn't need to know like what the inside looked like or where. It just placed him in a convenient spot.
Okay.
And that cost more points per level up in that your skill or whatever. But because I wasn't,
because that was your only power.
because that was the only power I had, like I was pretty advanced in the teleportation. We got kind of wacky because one of the things I upgraded is that I could change my like mobility through space.
Mm-hmm.
So like if say I was falling, right, I could teleport and not be still falling. I could just teleport to the ground and like land. But because it doesn't specify like increasing my speed, technically I could like teleport to a bus that's not moving, touch the bus, teleport with the bus, but then be throwing the bus at somebody because I'm making the bus move at maximum speed.
That's interesting.
And as much as we laughed about this idea of this guy who can teleport but he throws buses at people, because I'm a good guy.
Just casually hurling buses at terminal velocity.
Because I was a good guy, I'm like, he's not going to throw a bus at somebody at terminal velocity because that'll kill them. But we had a fun like joke about it. But so he was really fun to play and really fun to act out. Because in normal D&D, at least in 5th edition, there's a thing called inspiration points,
mm-hmm.
which is if you do something kind of like big for your character, you'd get an inspiration point, and then it gives you advantage on a roll, whatever you want. In this, it has hero points, and all it is like you get to do something crazy, like with your superpower. Like you can go beyond your limits per se. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there was one time the theme the DM was going for was like a modern day, almost kind of medieval.
Yeah.
Where like Merlin and Arthur were like a big part, but like it was like normal New York City. So I forget what the guy's name was, the villain's name was, but I think he was like Arthur's son. You have like 10 health. Do you want to go?
No, I just healed.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking elsewhere. So Arthur's son like was evil or something and knew magic and all that kind of stuff. For those who know like Arthurian mythology, will probably know more about it. But so he found our group because we were being a hassle to him. Any plans he had, we were thwarting them. And he teleported. He like bamfed us to a different dimension, like a different realm, I guess you'd say, like because we had like the Fey realm and all that kind of stuff still.
Mm-hmm.
He bamfed us to this new reality, and it was like too much for my character, because my character is just like a high school kid. Like everyone else was playing like adult like superheroes, but I was playing a high school kid, so I was role playing it as such. So he's like literally facing down with this guy who might as well be a god, and the big combat player was like losing. And so I was like, we were about to lose the fight for real, and I had like a hero point saved up. I was like, can I use my hero point, because I'm under so much stress and freaking out so much, that I can teleport me and my party all the way back to New York? And the DM kind of looked at it and was like, I mean, yeah, because you're really good at teleporting, and who says you can't teleport across dimensions, I guess, if you use your hero point. And I was like, cool, I'm going to do that. So it was like a really intense moment where like we were about to die, and then I was able to teleport everybody out back to safety by using my hero point. Because you only get like one per like story arc in the campaign.
Yeah, I got you.
So you're supposed to save them for big moments like that. But yeah, and then we had a cool thing where we had stopped playing because we only did it every once in a while when he came down, because he lives far away. The GM that lives far away. So he came back and he's like, oh, we should do, and this is like a year or so later, he's like, we should do the campaign again, but we should do something more interesting. And I was like, cool, what's with that? And he said, well, your character can teleport, which has a lot to do with like transporting through space and all that kind of stuff, right? I was like, yeah. And he's like, well, what if your powers have improved to the point, like way in the future, that you can accidentally like teleport in time as well, and you essentially teleport yourself back in time however many years, and you can play as like a really strong you from the future who's now like 30 or 40 and like level 20 essentially, and teleport back in time to be like a NPC to help like this other group that came up. And I thought that was awesome.
Yeah.
And I came from like a dystopian future, and I didn't know how to get back because I was like one of the leaders of like some resistance that was like dealing with the fallout. And I was in a high stress situation, teleported away, but I ended up teleporting through time, back in time. So we never got to like resolve that, which is kind of unfortunate. But teleport, just to get to the point, teleportation has like always been like a super cool power for me. And unfortunately there's not a lot of like games, and it's not very popular in media. Like there's Nightcrawler, of course.
Yeah.
But other than that, I can't think of really anyone whose power is like just actually in Invincible there's a side character who can teleport.
Because I think it's a superpower that's like distinctly difficult to make interesting like long term.
Oh yeah, that like I wouldn't want. I mean, I don't know if it could be like you do a whole story, but it being like a side character, like Nightcrawler, I guess is. You know what I mean? He's not really like the main character. He just kind of shows up. But he does one of the coolest things in one of the old shows. The X-Men were fighting some big bad, I can't remember who. But the way Nightcrawler teleports is that he like teleports into a different dimension that's similar to ours, and he can move through space, then he just comes back. So what he did is he grabbed onto the big bad, teleported him into the other dimension, and then left him there and teleported himself back. And they're like, wow, why don't you just do that to everyone? He's like, well, now every time I use my superpower, that guy's going to be chasing me. And now it's a problem for me to use my superpower. Like, I can't just do it willy-nilly because he could be waiting there ready to kill me at a moment's notice. So, like, that was pretty cool. And I think that was probably where my obsession from teleportation came from, was probably Nightcrawler. Also, it'd be super convenient to be like, I feel like going to New York today, and then just going to New York.
You'd save a lot of money on gas and
a ton of money on gas,
like train tickets and stuff for sure.
Especially if you could like teleport like someone else with you. Yeah, it was really cool because my level 20 character could literally teleport anywhere in the world because, you know, I don't have to worry about anything. We were trying to do the math to see if I could like teleport to the moon. But it's really funny because there's a little side note in like the teleportation section of the book, and it's like It's like if you want to teleport to different planets, there's a different superpower for that. So just
it specifically tells you.
Yeah, use that one, not this. But yeah, I have another one, but this is in honor of my good friend Jack Hoopaw, one of my friends I talked about before, where Janky Junk came from the name. He was one of the other two friends I had, him and good old Brandon.
That's why Brandon is so excited about the YouTube channel.
Yes, yep, because he was on one of the other namers of the channel about. So Jack, we were having this discussion, and I gave my whole teleportation spiel because I've been obsessing with it forever. And he's like, "Oh, I would just have the power to refill things." And I'm like,
"The power to refill things."
I was like, "That's so stupid." He's like, "How is it stupid?" I was like, "What? You're gonna? Oh, my drink's empty. I guess I'll refill. Boom! I have a full drink again." He's like, "Yeah, I can refill my drink or my bank account." And I was like, "Oh." And he was like, "Yeah, infinite money. Bet you feel stupid, don't you?"
My question would be, what becomes like the upper bound? How does that limitation work?
I don't think that much thought went into it because it wasn't like he didn't go as in depth as I did. He was like, "Nope, power to refill things. Look, my wallet's full of money now." Like materializing currency.
See, like materializing currency into a wallet like that makes sense in like a limited capacity because there's only so much room in your wallet. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But there's not much of an upper limit of a bank
But
account.
like when you're talking about like an electronic bank account. Now, if you were gonna come to me and say like literally like your bank account is a literal bank vault. Or do you have like a Swedish bank box or something like that?
Or a big old what's his name? Scrooge McDuck vault of gold that you dive into every day.
Yeah.
And don't break your neck on. You can't even get magic armor.
No, not yet. But we will be able to. And the magic armor is super handy.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Cut slices through enemies like a knife through butter. What a weird... Like...
Is it cold butter? Because a hot knife through butter, that makes more sense.
It's a bit jarring for me, right? So, when we first started recording this especially, like the way everybody talked and like that old-timey English was very jarring.
These and thous and whatnots.
But now, like, because I've been playing so much Dragon Quest, because Dragon Quest 2 is exactly the same in the way that they talk, and even like throughout the more modern Dragon Quest is very similar. So for them to talk about this, like slices through enemies like a knife through butter. Like, that's such a modern way of phrasing it, you know what I mean? Compared to the way, like, it's almost immersion breaking.
Yeah, would they have butter the same way, like, we do? Because I know, obviously, butter existed, right? But I think it was more so, you churn your butter in your little butter churner.
Yeah.
But then I assume it was, like, almost a pasty kind of, a sticky paste that, like, kind of sat in a bowl that then you used another implement to spread.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be hardened in a block form.
Likely.
Thanks a lot. I don't know who else worked on this, so I'm just going to go ahead and blame Akira Toriyama. Even though he didn't do the writing, he kind of just did the art.
I very much doubt Akira Toriyama did the localization for Dragon Quest.
Yeah, Akira Toriyama. That art, you're skipping through it pretty quick, but yeah, there's thous and arts and ought.
Thous art.
Sayest
thee. How have I not
What are you
hit
grabbing?
6 yet?
Medical herbs.
Oh yeah, there we go.
You
have more medical herbs than one man could ever possibly use.
I mean, it's like a cool thing to think about if you're like, it's the quandary for like D&D NPCs, right? Like, the normal NPC, like just like the shopkeep. There's D&D stat blocks for these guys. It's just called Citizen, and citizens have like 10 health. And like no AC, like no nothing. They're just normal people, so they're just normal dudes. It's funny to
just
think about,
lonely garlic farmers.
It's funny to think about if you're a person or like a player character who has over 100 health, and they're like, you're like, quickly, I need like 10 greater healing potions, and like the shopkeep's like, greater healing potions. It's like, you like, that'll heal you like 10 times over, right? It's like, no, sir. That won't even heal me by 1/10 of my health. So that's why I need more. That's why I need a lot of them. It's like crazy to think about, like, because you're probably the same way. They probably have a max HP of 1.
Yeah.
And you have 35. And healing herb like heals you like 20 or whatever. And so they're like, why would you ever need more than this many? This is enough for the whole lifetime.
You have more herb than one man could possibly have need for.
Be careful, this skeleton has decided to throw on a yellow shirt today instead of his normal black shirt.
Well, these yellow shirted skeletons give me a lot more experience, so.
Oh, skeleton scrapper. He's scrappy.
He's very scrappy.
Be careful, that skeleton has moxie. That's a word that needs to come back.
Moxie?
Moxie. I like your moxie.
I like the cut of your jib.
Yeah, cut of your jib. That's a piece of a ship. I knew somewhere. What's this one called? Scarewolf.
Yeah.
So we have a bee werewolf and a scarewolf, and our battery's low.
Our battery's low.
That's not good.
That's not great.
It should last the rest of the episode at least, I hope.
We hope.
Big hopes. It'll be fine.
Hope floats. We all float down here,
Oh,
Georgie.
boy. Get movies. Those were a thing that happened.
So I want to backtrack a little bit.
Okay, backtracking.
Because I want to say, like, I don't really mind teleportation. Like, I'm kind of neutral to it.
Okay.
But I really like the, like, quote-unquote Dragon Ball style of teleportation.
Uh-huh.
Where, because it's like, I think, like, Goku and maybe Cell and, like, a couple of other characters can technically use, like, instant transmission, which is literally a teleport.
Yeah.
But, like, the whole thing with Dragon Ball characters is that it looks like they're teleporting, but what's actually happening is they're just moving so fast that it seems to be, like, an instantaneous thing.
Oh, yeah. That's a cool thing that Dragon Ball has done for not a long time, but at least since, like, the Cell games. Probably even in original Dragon Ball, but I haven't watched that. But, like, there's when Cell and Goku are fighting in the arena, when it's more like a warm-up match, essentially, they're treating it. Like, it's like Mr. Satan's like, yeah, I literally can't see what's happening. It's just an empty screen. Or it's just an empty ring. And then he says it's some weird trick of the trade, but it's like, oh, it's just mirrors. That's why you can't see them. They're hiding in really good camouflage. But it's cool that they address it, that they're moving faster than the human eye can pick up.
Yeah.
And in Super, they even do that because, like, they kind of joke about it in Super where they're like, yeah, we come along for moral support, but most of the time we can't see what's happening.
Yeah.
And then you got Jacko, who's like, oh, I'm watching. I can see everything that's happening. Evidently, that's because Jacko is a Toby-esque character who is actually, like, the final boss.
They don't make Jacko the strongest character that Dragon Ball has ever seen. I want Jacko to be the Grand Zeno to the Grand Zenos.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
Like,
or the level above that. I'm just part of the Galactic Patrol because I want to see if you guys are doing your jobs right. I wouldn't be against it. Jacko still kind of annoys me, but it is what it is, I suppose.
But we have...
I know he's in your top 10 or whatever.
We have vastly different opinions on...
We're not even going to talk about Universe 2.
Universe 2's the best!
I hate it so much.
And I could understand, like, if you thought that I like it just to annoy you. But, like, I unironically love the fact that Akira Toriyama put a magical girl universe into Dragon Ball Z.
Well, you just posted that one thing that you sent it to me. that Dragon Ball is just magical girls for boys.
Yeah.
Never in my life have I been ever so offended by something I completely agree with.
So, yeah, Brittany Venti, big shout out to her because she's fantastic. She does, like, social commentary.
Uh-huh.
But she tweeted, Dragon Ball Z is just Sailor Moon for boys.
Yeah.
And so I screen capped it and I sent it to Kyle. And I quoted a comedian that we were watching the other night. What was his name?
Oh, I can't remember. I could look it up real quick. Hold on.
But at one point during his comedy special, he's like, never in my life have I been so offended by something I completely agree with.
He has a special on Netflix, and he has like... So we'll have to... are we working tomorrow together?
Yes.
Okay, so tomorrow because he has 3 more like specials, big air quotes. That was just like the first one.
Fair enough.
So like it's like a small series. James Acaster.
James Acaster.
He's like, he feels like he's a smaller comedian.
Yeah.
He doesn't have like the Kevin Hart, I've sold out an entire football stadium.
Well, he's just doing it as a cover, so.
Of course. I forgot he's on. We don't want to spoil anything. James Acaster, spelled exactly what it sounds like. And he's like he's a British comedian, and he's very funny. I think his comedic timing is pretty on point. But that's a quote that he says from in his special, and it's very funny. Never in my life have I been so completely offended by something I absolutely agree with. And I feel the same way. I think Dragon Ball is just Sailor Moon for boys, which is fine. They both have their merits, I suppose. I've never seen an episode of Sailor Moon, though.
Really?
Yep.
Not even one episode?
Not even one. All I know is Tuxedo Mask.
Not even by accident?
Not even I only know the Tuxedo Mask, like, meme where it's like, but you didn't do anything, and then he just flips his cape and leaves.
My job here is done, but you didn't do anything.
And that's funny enough for me to be like, all right, they can hang out.
So... It's hard because I actually enjoy Sailor Moon, but it's difficult because the westernized version is really bastardized compared to the original writing and story. Because it was localized and essentially rewritten for like Western sensibilities.
Yeah. So
like... For example, Venus and Mars are like overtly gay with each other, but for the Western release, because like that's much more, especially like in the 80s when it was being released, 80s and 90s when it was being released, it was much more of a taboo.
Yeah.
Like so in the Western version, Venus and Mars are like cousins.
Oh, okay. So that's why they're so friendly with each
So
other.
that's they try to explain it away that way. So, but they did that for a number of older animes.
Well, yeah. Well, there's not necessarily for like the homosexuality of it, but the the famous jelly donut line from Pokemon. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Probably if I heard it or saw the scene.
Because
I know it's
out a rice cake.
Yeah.
And they didn't edit it at all. It's just straight a rice cake. And they're like, yes, I love jelly donuts. So they takes a big bite out of it. Because kids in America don't know what a rice cake is, probably.
Yeah.
Probably. Because like, especially back when season 1 of Pokemon was coming out, Japanese culture was like kind of just starting to settle into, like more kid-friendly stuff, you know what I mean? Like you had your like speed racers back in the day.
Yeah.
But
all right, hang on 1 second.
Yeah.
Because I really need to cough, but I don't want to cough right into my microphone.
Gotcha. I hope you picked that up on my microphone.
Probably.
But
no, I didn't. Okay.
So that'd be impressive if you bought the magic armor and then you bought it again and still had $9,000 left over.
Yeah, right? What is this, the end game?
But I would say the age of like cartoons influencing children was like at its like peak when Pokemon had come out.
Yeah.
Like the show, not necessarily the games. The games were doing fine on their own, and then they're like, let's make a show about it anyway. But that was like, you know, back when they were making TV shows to sell toys.
Yeah.
Or video games. Yu-Gi-Oh! And I don't understand the rules of the game, but I'm making a show about it anyway.
Well, that's because the show, the manga and the show predated the card game. And they were literally making up the rules as they went.
Fair enough. I mean, when I was playing Yu-Gi-Oh! The most was when I was watching the show, so I was going off of the show's rules, because I wasn't going to read the little instruction book that came in every pre-built deck.
Yeah, you're a 4.5. You couldn't read. I never did because I'm illiterate.
Yeah, you tell that wizard to wake up, or you're going to steal his stuff. Give me, I've taken your seed of life. I've taken your sperm. I'm hilarious.
That got weird.
Well, that was a seed. Never mind.
I need to go refresh my keys.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
Anyway, so like Transformers, like the show was like specifically around just to sell Transformers.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What I deem to be the end of where companies cared about their products they put out was Bakugan, like original Bakugan, because that was actually crazy cool. And I was like, I was in 5th grade when that came out, because I remember it first coming out, and I was like, no, it's stupid. And my friends are like, why? And I was like, and I was really into Naruto at the time. I was like, because they just stole Byakugan from Naruto.
Oh no!
Something else. So I don't like this. And then I played around with it, and it became like a cool thing. And I had a whole birthday party themed around Bakugan.
So don't you have egg on your face?
I do have egg on my face. I'm sorry, my friends from however
from
long
5th
ago.
grade.
One of you is in jail now. I know that for a fact.
I mean, hey, I was good friends with a right-wing terrorist for a little while.
Oh boy.
So
sounds like a good old time.
Yeah. I mean, so what happened was he was like,
disclaimer: Janky Junk holds no political affiliation. Continue.
He was like friends with a pastor's son.
Okay.
And they're like, hey, let's have a bonfire, but we don't really have a good property space to hold a bonfire except in the yard of the church. Uh-huh. So they went, it's like, I don't know, 9:30 at night, 10 o'clock at night, and they go to the church and have this bonfire. And he grew up in Texas, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like a super, super religious area. I need to get back up to the northwest. That little orange dot right there.
Oh, wow.
But anyway, so he lived in Texas, born and raised. I say lived because, unfortunately, full disclosure, he has passed away.
Okay.
He died beginning of last year. Not from COVID, just to clarify. Just unfortunate timing.
Yeah.
But anyway, so they lived in like the heart of Texas, Bible Belt, really, really religious area. Mm-hmm. And some passerby thought that they were trying to burn down the church.
Ah.
So she called the cops, right? Mm-hmm. And then so one of the friends that was there was like actually a psychopath. Like he ended up institutionalized.
All right.
So when the cops brought him in and like asked him about what they were doing, they were like, yeah, we had somebody say that you were burning down a church. Mm-hmm. that one friend just leaned into it. He went, "Yeah, we're like staunch Satanists, and we wanted to burn down the church to prove a point."
Because there's nothing more that cops enjoy than the joking of criminal behavior.
Yeah. But the thing is, for whatever reason, there was like a local, like, fake news tabloid. Yeah, no, I don't need this torch, actually.
I mean, you don't need that copper sword either.
Yeah, I have glow. Okay, we should be, actually, I don't know. I don't need the copper sword. I don't know why I haven't sold it yet.
You just picked it up.
Oh, did I?
It was in that chest.
Oh.
In that bottom chest.
All right, well, I can just discard this. It's going to get me like 180 gold, something like that.
Which is child's play. Anyway.
Now I need this gentleman to move. Thank you. So, like, a local tabloid picked it up, and they went, yeah, like, alt-right satanic terrorists try to burn down a church.
Yeah.
So it's enshrined in stone. Dayton Calloway was a satanic
right-wing
terrorist.
Fair enough. Where did he go? I look away for a second. There was a wizard there.
There was a wizard there. He said, "Thou shalt not pass." No. So this is somebody's grave.
Just stomping around on it.
Yeah. Low battery again. Still. Yep.
Only a few more minutes. Just hang on there, little controller. Little controller that could.
So we need to collect an instrument here.
That's
might need to pull up a map of this because I have zero mental map of these areas.
Do you know what this is? This cave is called?
Like Glenholm's grave or something like that.
Alrighty.
If you like Google Dragon Quest 1 harp.
I remember what I did last time is I just looked up all the maps for the caves and I just matched the pixels.
Yeah. Then you just match the color.
Garen's tomb?
Yes.
Yes. This is it because these has the 2 pillars. All right, you're up with the 3 chests and the spiky ball thing. Okay, yep. All right, where are you trying to go?
So this has 3 levels, I think.
Yeah, 4 technically, but.
I need to get into the room with the loot.
The room with the loot. All right. So there are a few staircases. I assume you came from. Okay, yeah, this is kind of confusing, actually.
Yeah, this is the second largest dungeon in the game. Actually, I think I'm at the door.
Okay. Oh, yeah, no, I see where you're at. Okay, go ahead, yeah. Go through said door. And it's pretty much a straightforward path to the stairway. What were we talking about before terror? Oh, Bakugan. So yeah.
What were we talking about before terrorism?
You know, you go from playing Bakugan at recess in 5th grade to my friend claimed that he tried to burn a church down. That's just the kind of conversation you get
fun
here.
Childhood stories. Completely harmless.
Funny enough, we actually, at my church, we have a bonfire every year for the football team of the local high school.
All right, now we're on the next floor down. I
yes.
need to know which staircase I'm taking.
It's
definitely not that one. That one would be too obvious.
That one would be way too obvious. Okay.
And as far as I know, we have no more need for gold or anything at this point of the game. So
in this whole thing, other than the 3 chests you just saw, I only see one more chest, which I assume the item is in. Oh, and then there's also there's a special harp
because
it's coffin.
Yeah, that's where we're trying to get to.
That's the one. All right, we need to go to, from what this thing says, staircase H.
Staircase H,
which is accessed through staircase G. which is accessed through. Oh boy, this is. Which is accessed through staircase D. So, oh, you moved from the room.
I'm like standing right next to it practically.
You need to actually go back up and around.
Back up and around.
Yes. And hug like the top wall.
Mm-hmm. This way?
Yeah, not that staircase, but go down, and then the next staircase to your right.
This one. Okay.
That's staircase D, which will lead you down over to here, and then you go up.
Going up.
On to the right side.
Right.
Yep, and then...
I know my left from right.
Continue to go up. Excuse me. Slightgeist?
Yeah.
Slightgeist?
So that's kind of like one of the gimmicks to this dungeon is... Well, it's a gimmick really to all of the multi-floor dungeons. Monsters get stronger the deeper you go in.
Yeah. And go right. And that should take you into here, which you just travel around, follow the walls around, because that's the staircase right there.
Wunderbar. A raving lunatic.
Yeah, he's not just a normal lunatic. And then that staircase should take you into the fancy room. The Lyre
of Ire.
Now, good luck getting out. No.
Yeah, I'm gonna spend a few minutes trying to fight stuff in here because
I'll put this down for now.
Stuff is I have evac, so I can just eat spell delete.
Yeah. Oh, fair enough. So yeah, with my church, every November had a bonfire for the football team, and it was like a whole big event. It kind of works out because right next to our church growing up was literally the fire department. So it was convenient for them to just like come over and be like, yeah, we'll wet the grass around there and make sure that if it gets out of hand, we'll put it out. So getting permits for it were like super easy.
Oh, which, not to derail you, but while I'm thinking of it,
well, I'm gonna backtrack all the way to Bakugan. Hopefully, I can finish my Bakugan story. But
well,
go ahead.
we'll finish the Bakugan story. But while I'm thinking of it, I want to buy like extra like sand or cat litter to have. Because specifically in the case of a grease fire, I want to be able to safely put it out.
Okay.
Because, you know,
now we're just getting into our own apartment safety.
It's suddenly become like a strange like fear of mine that like Gage especially is going to be cooking and cause a grease fire, and we're just not going to have a way to put it out.
Honestly, Gage is... I don't know how you cook. I know how I cook. Gage is probably one of the better cooks because he wanted to be a chef, and he still wants to go to culinary school.
I cook with the microwave.
I know how to make a few things. Most of them require a deep fryer, which is just leveled up microwave.
Because if it's not Kraft macaroni and cheese, I'm not cooking it.
I actually make a really good taco meat. One of my favorite things to do in college. When we were the hall of our dorm, like everybody was really close to each other, so we were all like at least acquaintances that were friendly.
Yeah,
you know, but mostly friends. So my room just had an open door policy. It's like if I was awake, my door's open. If I'm not home or sleeping, my door is shut.
All right, that's interesting and all, but you still need to finish your Bakugan story.
I will get there. I just want to bring. So I made taco meat, and that was like one of the most popular nights because what I would do is like Sunday nights, I would cook a shit ton of taco meat, and then I would put them in burritos and put those burritos in the fridge, and then throughout the week, I would just put the burrito in the microwave, and then I'd have like a quick meal so I don't have to cook like throughout the week.
Congratulations, you invented meal prepping.
Yes, I didn't invent meal prepping. My mom helped me like learn how to do it. But that was everyone's favorite day because I left the whole hallway smelling like taco meat and like seasoning.
I try to do that with spaghetti.
Spaghetti, yeah.
But the problem is I really like eating spaghetti. So if I make myself spaghetti, I'm going to eat all of the spaghetti.
So, before we end the episode, let's go back to the Bakugan story. Well, not as a story, just my opinion on Bakugan. It's coming back out, and it's taking everything in me not to just buy everything up, because I loved Bakugan. I had like a big tub full of Bakugan when I was a kid, and I had like a couple different decks, which I don't even remember how to play. But I do know that there are... So, for those who don't know, Bakugan were these little plastic toys that had a magnet on the bottom. So all of them curled up into like a little ball. And the goal of the game was to roll your Bakugan on one of your magnet cards. Because usually those magnet cards would buff up your Bakugan. Because they were like color specific. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
shit.
There are other rules and stuff like that.
I just realized this whole time I thought you were talking about fucking Beyblade.
No, I'm not talking about Beyblades.
And then, like, you're talking about the decks and stuff, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm thinking of something completely different. I know exactly what Bakugan are, though. Continue.
Yeah, so we have one on top of our fridge.
Yeah.
We have a white, I think his name was Grim Reaper, or Reaper Claw or something like that. Reap Claw, I forget. He was my favorite one. But so you would roll it and you would try to hit your card, because you could hit your opponent's card, and then you're like, oh, well, now I have to do battle at a disadvantage. Which you could still win because you had other non-magnet cards which would buff your guys up during the battle. And it was really rudimentary, and not a lot of crazy strategy went into it. But I remember having the most fun with them. The biggest thing that came from it is the best video game adaptation. Pokemon doesn't count because Pokemon, like, the video games came out first and the show is just replicating the games. But the best video game adaptation of like a TV show's version of a game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like Yu-Gi-Oh had some pretty good ones, but they're really limited in their options. I think the best one was like it took place like it was like a weird like alternate dimension, and it was more like chess than it was more of a board game than a card game. I forget what it was called. Rose. Anyway, Duelist of the Rose.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So that was a PS2 game I played the crap out of. But the Bakugan game, before the most recent ones, because the most recent ones are just fighting games. But the Bakugan game had you created a character, and then the Bakugan event took place, like in the show, like literally you're going about your normal day, and then suddenly these small little round balls fell out of the sky, and then they became your Bakugan, and then tournaments started happening. And
Fair enough.
But they would turn into like big creatures and they would fight.
Yeah.
So it like just took place how I want all video games that are adapted after a show like that to take place, where you go, hey, here you're just set into this world. And you go through the similar storyline that the show goes through, but the only difference is you're in it now too.
Yeah.
And so it's not canon, but it's really interesting. Kind
of like covers the story of the show. It
covers the story of the show, and then
with a self-insert main character.
Mm-hmm. And so I would always, my favorite was white. That was my favorite color.
Typical.
Yeah, I know. Because it was like they didn't say it, but it was like the holy whatever, and I've always liked like paladins and stuff like that. So
yeah.
I was like, cool. But most of the time I would play as the dark one, because in the group of friends, that was the only one that wasn't made, because the dark one was the bad guy. You know what I mean? Yeah. So the good guy friends didn't have black. You know, they had blue, green, red, and white. And I think there's another color, but I can't remember. So I would do black just so I'd complete the circle, so we have like one in everything. Yeah. And the game was so much fun. You had like a little like when you would start the fight, you would lay out your match just like you would normally. You would lay out your cards, and then you would have like a little I don't want to call it a mini game, but every time you wanted to start a battle, you would like have a little section where you throw your your Bakugan at the cards and all that kind of stuff, just like you would in the show or in real life.
Yeah.
And then you would then buff up your guys, and then they would fight without you having to be any skilled at the game. You had to be skilled at like the strategy aspect, but it's not like a fighting game, because every other one since that has just been a 3D fighting game that's really crappy.
It's kind of interesting, but continue.
Because they wanted to get more of the action, not the strategy.
Yeah, I got okay. Yeah, that
because they're like, oh, kids like the big fights, they don't like the prep.
Yeah,
I was like, well, I like the prep because I'm just playing the game, but a video game with these characters. And you would have, I think you can have like 3 Bakugan, like that, like you know, in Pokemon you can have 6, but
yeah.
So you could have 3. So you would have, like, everyone had their ace, which is like their specific one, and in the game they gave you, I want to say his name was Leonidas, and he was like another dragon. It was just pretty cool. And then you could have 2 other ones, and I usually had the Reap Claw guy, and I also had the Centipede one. I can't remember what its name was, but I remember as a kid I just thought it was funny because the Centipede one would just, you roll it, you hit it, and then it just like falls out flat. and that was like funny to me, but it looked cool in the show.
Yeah.
And the Reap Claw looks cool because all it is that the top half opens up and he has 2 big claws in his little body. But I played the crap out of that, and I would love to get like back into it. I doubt there's any like strategy in it. I think it's just, it came back out just for a money grab because Beyblades came back out.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, we can get on that, right? Like, kids are buying Beyblades again. Let's get them to buy Bakugan.
Everything old is new again.
And at GameStop, it like immediately hit the clearance shelf.
Oh.
So for the longest,
that's rough, buddy.
Every time I was working, I was looking at it. I was like, should I buy this? It's like $10 for like 8 different Bakugan. It was like the starter set, so you could play with your friends or whatever.
Yeah.
But you didn't have a lot of money at the time, and $10 was a big deal.
Yeah.
Now I would buy it in a heartbeat.
Maybe they're still there.
I checked. They're gone.
They're gone. Womp womp.
But what was there was a dual disc.
Yeah.
And
those are still popular though. So
because until recently, anytime I tried to find a dual disc because I wanted one, just because when I grew up I had one.
Yeah.
They were all like $300 novelty items.
Yeah.
Because like they were never remade. And apparently they recently came out with some new ones, and it was $40, and I was tempted to get it, but now I'm at a point in my life where I could have spent $10, but $40 is like,
$40 is a bit of a harder sell.
It's a $30 increase, which is good.
I'm prevented from casting spells.
Well, maybe.
Good thing that doesn't stop my sword.
And your level up, because now you're at 14.
Yeah, I leveled up a little while ago.
Oh, I thought. I swear I just watched it go from 13 to 14, but
no.
I guess I'm crazy. Attack the Scarewolf.
Because while you were telling your Bakugan story, I was grinding.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed our Bakugan. My Bakugan
Me
story.
too. Now, let me show you.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
How we're going to leave.
We left.
Doesn't get much better than that.
Let me show you the super complicated strategy.
Wait, it gets better.
Zoom. Where did you go? Wow.
I went home.
Oh, and you can save. Wow,
so I can save.
Super useful. When the game requires you to go all the way back to the capital to save.
Yeah, in Dragon Quest II, the quality of life is a little bit better because there's like a save point in every city instead of just one at the king.
I've started playing a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot of, I started playing 11. And for there, you just save at every like church.
Yeah.
But I still haven't even got to the point where I get more party members than just the rogue guy.
Yeah, for 11, you only have the rogue. It's just you and the rogue for, like, the first, like, 6 hours of the game. It's kind of nuts. And then you get, like, the rest of your party in, like, 2 hours. after that. So,
but we'll see where we go from here.
We will see where we go from here.
Are we progressing now, or are we going to?
Now we should be able to progress a little bit.
All right, fair enough. So we're gonna not do grinding, but actually get stuff.
Yeah, because now we should be pretty good to progress through like the next couple of sequences
and murder things.
If I really wanted to, I could just grind to level 20 and then we'll be good for the rest of the game, which really wouldn't take that long. But even still, we'll work on progressing a little bit.
We want things to be. It's like in the Nuzlocke, I'm trying not to over level. So here let's try.
Let's try not to over level. It's kind of inevitable because I fight literally everything. There's no reason not to.
No reason not to. Next time
on Dragon Ball Z.
Copyrighted.
TM.
Oh, look, it's TN. What? Was Krillin busy? I want you to not. Why are you not being? Fuck. Everything is bad.
Everything is terrible.
I was really shooting for you, mic stand. I need to go put that on there. Stop it.
I guess that's where our Dragon Quest adventure ends for now.
We can do another episode.
I don't want the controller to die, though.
No, I'm going to go plug in the controller, and then I'm going to grab the Joy-Cons, put it in the comfort grip, and we can continue.
We need comfort grip, and then we can continue. That's what you sound like.
That's what I'm trying to sound like. Thank you.